handshakes and some great moves today at the Freestyle Grand Slam Tour event number 1. This is day 3 and the first day of quarterfinals. Welcome to the Take post-game show, where we're going to talk about all the action that happened today with Grandmaster David Howell down in the sofa at Vice Now. How are you today, David?
I'm good, Kaya. It's been a fun day, I must admit. I didn't expect it to be this dramatic with a lot of decisive chess as well as early as day 1 of the quarterfinals, but I can't complain. It's just nice to be here. I'm really loving it, just hanging out with the players, and it's I feel like a schoolboy. It's every chess player's dream, right, to be hanging out with the world's best.
It's so cool. I have to tell you, it really shines through all the cameras that you guys are really having a good time down there. It's almost like, going back to high school, all the kids hanging out together and just having such a good time. It really looks like you guys are enjoying it.
It really is. I mean, there's cameras everywhere, so we have to be careful what we say, what we do. But it is cool. Like, I've been hanging out with the likes of Fabiano, Levy. We've been playing board games, Avalon, some Blitz, some chess, watching football together, having some good food, some good wine. So, it's got everything. The chess is just a nice little bonus.
Love it. And so far, no scandals. So that's good. David, today was quarterfinals first day. So far it's been 2 days of rapid round robin. Today, what Magnus Carlsen has been dreaming about, to get Fischer Random or freestyle chess into the longer time control. So was it everything he dreamed about?
Today was for Magnus. Spoiler alert, he won a very nice, very quick game against Nodibek Abdusattorov. So showing that classical freestyle chess is maybe an area that he will excel in. But I mean, all of the players were happy. Even the players who lost, Kaya, it feels like they are just loving being here, being in the moment, kind of learning. It is pretty much a new game, but just learning about this. And yeah, it feels like this classical time format, it doesn't necessarily mean that chess is perfect. There's still mistakes, there's still drama, still blood on the board. So it definitely feels like the way to go in future.
How cool. And this is the bracket, you guys, and the results from day 1 of the quarterfinals. So time control today was 90 minutes for each players and 30 seconds increment after each and every move. So games could be quite long. And as we saw, we did have some decisive results. Vincent Keymer beat Alireza Firouzja. Surprise there. Magnus Carlsen was able to win against Abdusattorov. It was a draw eventually between Sindarov and Hikaru Nakamura, and a win for Fabiano Caruana against the world champion Gukesh. We're first going to dive into the battle between Magnus Carlsen and Nodibek Abdusattorov. Position today, David, was the position number 381 out of 960 positions today. 381 was picked out of the bowl. Players, as usual, could study the position before games started. All the 4 games were the same starting position. Players were studying together, with the white players studying together, the black ones studying together. But Magnus, as far as I could see, wasn't studying with the other players with the white pieces.
Yeah, it looked like Magnus was staying away. He had kind of mixed experiences in the round robin stage, the rapid. When he would discuss with people, often he would actually lose the next game, and then he'd just stay away. He'd try and isolate himself. But, Magnus staying away wasn't, to me, the biggest interesting moment. It was more the fact that Gukesh, not once in the first 2 days of round robins or today, has he discussed the start position with any of his rivals, any of his competitors. Gukesh just getting in the zone. He's staying away, coming up with his own strategies, and I'm not sure it's working, Kaya.
Yeah, I mean, I have to ask maybe a gossipy question here, but is it the fact that he doesn't get along with the other players, or what do you think it is for Gukesh?
Yeah, I mean, I'm prone to a bit of chess gossip, so I'll indulge you. One thing I will say, one of his seconds for the World Championship matches, he is here, Vincent Keymer. Keymer, the German Grandmaster, helped Gukesh become world champion, so they must get on well.
Yeah.
So really surprising to me that they haven't been hanging out. I haven't seen them together at all, haven't seen them talk, and haven't seen them discuss the start positions at all. Maybe that's one thing Gukesh should do going forward.
Yeah, I mean, could this be like a first sign of that world champion crown sort of getting to Gukesh a little bit? Or is it too early to say?
Yeah, it's too early to say. He's still young, of course, but it does kind of speak volumes about his mindset. Gukesh, he's so focused. We know he loves to meditate. He loves to try and get in the zone. We know he's very, very disciplined as well. Maybe he's just worried about kind of being distracted. Maybe he's worried about kind of his thoughts being polluted. He just wants to kind of play his own game, trust himself. I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing. It's just the fact that it hasn't worked out for him so far. And normally when something isn't working, if you keep trying it and going again and again, they say that's kind of the definition of madness, right? So sometimes just freshening things up is a good idea. And Gukesh struggled today.
He did lose against Fabiano Caruana. We're going to talk about that game a little later, because we're going to start out with Magnus Carlsen against Nordibek Abdusattorov. The 20-year-old from Uzbekistan was left with Magnus Carlsen when players could choose opponents yesterday. Magnus in 4th place had to pick Abdusattorov in this quarterfinal matchup. Now, let's start with the starting position. 381. Crazy starting position, as always. So what are we looking at here, David?
Yeah, and this one, I think, is actually one of the more fun start positions that we have seen in the first 3 days here in Weissenhaus. In the play-ins, we saw a lot of queens in the corner. There are queens in the bottom right corner of this board. The white queen, I mean, lots of the players actually had problems getting her out and into the game a bit later. There's also a knight in the corner on the other side of the board. So that's the left side for white. But it's more the fact that there are 2 vulnerable pawns. Each side has 1 weak, undefended pawn. And that can be targeted. That's actually something that happened in the game between Magnus and Nordibek here. Magnus attacked a pawn as early as move 1. Nordibek just ignored it and counterattacked. And it's the white dart squared bishop that now jumped out, captured a pawn. Nordibek was the only player brave enough, I should mention, to allow this pawn to drop. All 4 of the quarterfinal games started with white kind of playing the same first move, threatening this. But Nordibek just wanted to play copycat chess. It's like, you can take a pawn, I can take a pawn. Whatever you can do, I can do better. But very quickly, it seemed like he got in trouble. Magnus, because he starts with the advantage of the white pieces, was able to turn things in his favor very, very quickly.
And was it at this point that Magnus went into the confessional?
Yeah, he didn't have any sins to confess, Kaya, but he gave us some insight. Simply pushing a pawn forward. This is actually a sacrifice. He's a pawn down temporarily, but his queen is going to centralize, grab a pawn, and that white queen started doing a lot of work. So yeah, very interesting to see Magnus come in this early at what he felt was already a critical moment.
Yeah, I mean, I love that they have confessionals at Freestyle Chess. Let's hear what Magnus said in the confessional at this point in the game.
At first, I'm thinking, what is he doing? Because now g3, the thing is, his bishop was covering squares along the diagonal. So it seemed nonsensical to take the rook, and also tactically, like, e5 is hanging in some lines, or even if it was protecting e6. But I think that's what he was worried about. Now I think d5 looked very unappetizing without the light square control. So I think I'll be able to bring the queen out to e4, and I think it should be a little bit better.
That was Magnus in the confessional. And what keeps happening then in this game, David?
Well, as Magnus said, it felt like Nordibek just captured a rook just too early. The white king now very safe, and if we continue forward, Magnus's queen very quickly got into the game, and later, when he provoked, he finally did capture the enemy rook that was trapped. We saw Nordibek with black there slide his king across, capture that bishop, but very quickly, just a couple of moves down the line, the black knight coming out of the corner was a big mistake, allowing Magnus to line up with his queen. This was maybe the decisive mistake of the game. There was just no way back after this. It was crazy. He spiraled very quickly. But Magnus sliding his queen, attacking that black bishop, which was forced to trade off. And you can see that Magnus now with his queen, with his knight, and soon with some other pieces started to lurk around that black king, which can no longer castle, we should mention. First, Magnus blocked up the center, and now some beautiful moves. He pushed his pawn forward, kicking away the black knight from the center. Then he very calmly moved his king up. Normally, you don't want to do this. You don't want to move your king out into the open, but clearing a line for the white rook. There's an open file, we call it, an open line there on the edge of the board. So the white rook teaming up with the white queen, threatening some nasty checkmates. And just a few moves down the line, a defensive move from Magnus first to defend a pawn that was attacked by Nodebek's queen. And after black pushed a pawn, it was time to line up. Black can simply do nothing. The black king is too slow to run away. It has no defenders around it. And Magnus, the way he did it now, just so smooth, so effortless. He brought his knight into the center, threatening some sacrifices to blow open Nodebek's king's shelter here. And just a couple of moves down the line, the black knight trying to plug the gaps, but it was kicked away, kicked into the corner, but pushed yet again by one of the white pawns. And Magnus, with his next move, sliding the white queen in, really classy move, threatens to capture that black knight on the edge of the board because there is a pin on the pawn in front of the black king. The white queen threatening to grab another pawn as well with check, the white knight jumping in. Nodebek could find nothing better than giving a spite check now, just kicking the white king away. But Magnus just moved out the way, and Nodebek, after only 23 moves, resigned. Kaya, he just didn't spend enough time on the clock.
Wow.
Like you said, they have 90 minutes for the whole game. He didn't budget well enough. He still had 1 hour left, Nodebek, when he was dead lost. And Magnus showing that he is the master in freestyle chess. Well, it looks that way so far.
Incredible. After only 23 moves, a big win for Magnus Carlsen in the first game in the quarterfinals. Remember, it's best of 2 games, so they will play tomorrow as well. Let's hear what Magnus said in the sofa after this big win today. Levi Rossman, Gotham Chess, was back in the Take sofa.
I'm joined by Magnus Carlsen here in the Take post-game booth after the first quarterfinal of the 2025 Freestyle Grand Slam Tour. You came in, you said that was surprising. To me, it felt like a very smooth game, to quote Maurice Ashley.
Yeah, I think for once it was. I just gained an advantage very early on, and I think I didn't really give him any major chances. You don't get a lot of games like this, but obviously I'll take him when I can.
Was there anything he could have done differently? Obviously, we'll take a look at the specifics, but it really felt like once you kind of consolidated, it was quite tough for Black, and he never found his footing.
Yeah, I think that's what it was about. I think it was frustrating for him to see that I had like a really nagging advantage from like 4 or 5 moves on, and it feels like all of his attempts to break out are sort of doomed to fail, specifically because his queen is really his queen is inactive and mine is active, which is the biggest difference there. And then you kind of have to dig in and defend, but that's also not so easy to do when there's a saying in chess, like when in a bad position there are only bad choices, right? So I think it felt for him that every choice sort of made his position worse, and I don't think he found the best way to fight, but it was very, very hard for him. I was in good form today, and I was not going to let it go.
When players yesterday were choosing their opponents for the quarterfinals, you didn't have a choice of opponent, but I think you had the choice of color, right? You could choose whether to start with white or black.
Yeah.
3 people chose white, Fabi chose black. Generally, in like a World Cup of chess, it's kind of better to start with black. And at least on the second day, yeah, maybe not. That's also a question.
No, well, we've had a lot of Champions Chess Tour events where whenever I get the chance, unless there is some opponent whom I don't, maybe there are occasional opponents whom I don't feel like I'm like really punishing that often with white. Maybe I feel like I can counterattack with black in the first game, like that would not be a bad idea. But I generally try to land the first punch with these short matches. That's so important. And especially against somebody like Nodebek, who's not the most solid, like he generally always gives you chances. I really, really wanted to go after him in the first game. So for me, that was an absolute no-brainer. Fabi, I don't know. I think last year he probably beat Gukesh, and I don't know. I think he probably beat Gukesh as black in the first game. So we was keen on doing that again, but For me, the choice was easy.
What can we expect tomorrow?
I think it will be a lot harder. Of course, you don't really get these knockout wins ever really as black. So I'm expecting there to be a serious fight, as there always is in Nordic games. And if I'm feeling like I'm feeling today, then I'll be ready for it.
Thank you, Magnus.
Magnus Carlsen with an accuracy of 98.7 in that massive win against Abdusattorov. He's looking great so far at freestyle chess, Magnus Carlsen. Now we're going to talk about another quarterfinal matchup. It's the one against Sindarov Nakamura. And first we have to talk about the fact that young Sindarov chose to play against Hikaru in the quarterfinals, David. That was a huge shock for you guys at dinner last night. Tell us about what happened.
Yeah, a huge shock. Yavokir Sindarov just announcing in front of everyone, right next to Magnus, that he was going to choose Hikaru Nakamura. And look at Magnus's face. I mean, that is the definition of someone who's maybe relieved, surprised, at least. And Sindarov showing he fears no one. I mean, I love the mentality, just pure courage. It literally doesn't care, Sindarov. I don't think anyone else expected Hikaru to be chosen there. Hikaru is a beast. He's the reigning Fischer Random World Champion. So yeah, huge cojones from the 19-year-old there.
Yeah, everyone expecting Sindarov there to maybe choose Gukesh as his opponent, but he chose Hikaru Nakamura. And what did that do to the power balance heading into that match? Sort of, did he get a little bit to Hikaru, do you think, by doing that?
Well, yeah, I was at that dinner and I was standing just behind Magnus. I was equally shocked. There was like a gasp that went around, but
wow.
Hikaru was actually sitting at dinner. He didn't even bother getting up because he thought it was guaranteed. Like Magnus would be left with no choice. Magnus would have to choose Hikaru. So he was literally just sitting there eating. I think he was having some soup at the time. And yeah, when he heard that his name was picked by Sindarov, he just made a face. It was like almost as if he felt, I don't know, disrespected maybe?
Yeah.
Or he felt challenged. And I mean, it didn't play out on the board necessarily. It felt like it was just a very even game for most of it, very stable game. Hikaru just wanted to be solid, but I don't know, Kaya. These top players in the world, they do bear grudges. They do feel like they have points to prove, and maybe it just extra motivated Hikaru.
Yeah, because what a cool game that was. And for a long time, it also looked like Hikaru would win this game. We're going to jump into a critical moment in this first quarterfinal game between Sindarov and Hikaru. What's happening on this board, David?
Yeah, so as we jump into this endgame, we see that Black here, in this case Hikaru Nakamura, has two very strong passed pawns. Those black pawns are not so far away from touchdown right now, from promotion, becoming new queens. The black knight also dominates the white bishop, so Hikaru has everything up his sleeve. He's got an extra pawn. Two of them are pass pawns, and he should really have been winning this game, but he didn't have much time on the clock. This was deep into the session here, and he got a bit impatient. He retreated the black knight, and actually, after white stepped back with his bishop, waiting with his king instead for Hikaru would have eventually made white run out of moves. White would have eventually have had to give way or commit one of the white pawns forward. It would have been easier for Hikaru to break through later. But jumping back with his knight allowed what happened in the game. First, there was an exchange of pawns. We saw a trade here, the black king stepping back, and now the white king coming forward, getting rid of one of those strong black pawns, but actually a sacrifice, giving up the white bishop. And it suddenly became clear that the white king going over now to the other flank would force a draw, simply. There was no way for Hikaru to avoid a trade of his remaining pawn. A knight alone cannot deliver checkmate. Black needs a pawn alive to become a queen later in the game, and Hikaru just had to keep checking. Otherwise, the white king would have helped the remaining pawn exchange.
It was a draw. Sindarov against Hikaru Nakamura, first of two games in the quarterfinals. They will be tied heading into the final day, so a winner in a game tomorrow will be the one heading through to the semifinals. Let's also talk about the quarterfinal matchup between Fabiano Caruana and world champion Gukesh. Gukesh with the white pieces here in the first quarterfinal game. And what happened in this one, David?
Yeah, Kaya, this was actually my favorite clash of the quarterfinals, of the first day at least of quarterfinals. Magnus's win was very impressive, but it was quite one-sided. It was very quick. This one could have gone either way, and we join it in a really wild position. Both sides have kind of aces up their sleeve. In this case, Gukesh with the white pieces, he's got a pawn just one square away from promotion. Here he slid his queen across, a really sneaky move. And after Fabiano retreated his knight, one of the black knights, into the center to attack white's rook in the middle, here Gukesh missed an incredible opportunity. He could have sacrificed his queen, used the white queen to take one of the black knights. He would have got a rook as well afterwards, and his strong pass pawn there would have guaranteed him a big, big advantage. And Kaya, the players had heart rate monitors on during this game.
Oh.
And I was so kind of impressed. Gukesh, his heart rate was like between 65 and around 75 for nearly the entire game. Here, though, it spiked. It went to around 100, 110. So he clearly got excited, clearly sensed that something was happening, but he missed the opportunity. Suddenly his heart rate dropped. His position started to go downhill, and Fabiano started to turn things in his favor.
Wow. Okay, so it's back to balanced in this game and then starting to turn for Fabi.
Yeah, starting to turn. So the black rook went down, checked, won a bit of material here. It's an exchange up for black. That means black has a rook, white has a bishop. But Gukesh has a couple of extra pawns up his sleeve. But it was just how Fabiano maneuvered here. It was so accurate in the endgame. Despite the fact the clocks were ticking down, Fabiano's heart rate was up at around 120, 130 for much of this. But he stopped Gukesh's pawns. The black knight stops white's pawns from marching forward. And it's actually the remaining black pawn on that right half of the board, the black F pawn, that won the day. A really cool final move here from Fabiano. First, he gave a discover check against the white king. And now to support his pawn, he gave up his rook. Rook to F3, sliding across, supporting that pawn's promotion. If it makes a queen next move, black wins. That is checkmate. So there's no time for Gukesh to promote his own pawn. And if the rook is captured, then the white king can no longer control the promotion square. So Fabiano winning in style with that final move, but overall just really impressive from both players. It was a great fight, but extra impressive from Fabiano closing it out.
Yeah, what a cool final move there, Fabiano Caruana. He has a big dream of becoming the world chess champion, so he must be thrilled today that he was able to win his game against the current world champion Gukesh. Let's hear from Fabi in the sofa.
I'm here with Fabiano Caruana, who's just defeated the world champion Gukesh after a complicated game. Fabiano, how are you feeling?
Yeah, the win is great, of course. It's, especially in a game like that where anything could have happened. I could have definitely lost if things hadn't gone my way. A draw I would have been pretty reasonably satisfied with, although I was getting ambitious at some moment when I sacked this pawn with the d5 queen before. It was, of course, an ambitious idea. I wasn't sure. I mean, I thought maybe I could play safer, but, sometimes it feels like you should also take control of your own destiny. You play a bit safer, and then you end up being a bit passive. And it did look very promising when I went for it. But yeah, it was an enormously complicated game. And the thing is, time trouble is eternal. Once you get there, you're down to your 30-second increment for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned to me when you came in that you were trying to calm down. The adrenaline was still pumping. We had heart rate monitors on the players. I don't know if you were aware, but yours was significantly higher than Gukesh. He was around 60, 70 the whole time.
He was at 70?
Around 70 for most of the game, even in the time scramble, which to me was crazy.
That's quite impressive. I mean, I guess I would be upwards of 140 at some point.
I'm not sure if you ever reached that high, but yeah, okay. Around 120 for the more complicated stages of the game.
I think 120 is all right. I mean,
yeah.
I was getting to 170 against Lev last year when we were playing the Blitz. So. No, I do get nervous, of course. I think he also gets nervous. I mean, you can tell that he's very intense, maybe. I don't know the scientific reason behind it, but his heart rate doesn't elevate as much. Also, Magnus doesn't.
Yeah.
But definitely you can, of course, we were both quite nervous.
And you chose Gukesh yesterday at dinner. Your choice was pretty limited at that point, but does that feel like extra pressure to prove a point? Gukesh, having been picked by you, maybe he was determined to show, that wasn't the right choice?
Well, the thing is, I have to pick someone. I could say I could flip a coin, right? But they're both super strong players. I mean, okay, maybe Gukesh is around 2790. Maybe Noterbeck is around 2780. I don't know. It's not like there's a huge qualitative difference. Of course, Gukesh has the more experience in terms of playing for the World Championship. That's a wealth of experience, and winning the World Championship. And he's played more high stakes moments compared to Noterbeck. But Noterbeck has advantages in terms of putting pressure on his opponent. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Like today, I think playing a bit too fast and maybe not so carefully. But sometimes it's very dangerous. So it's a bit of a toss-up,
And Fabiano, you now have the lead heading into tomorrow's kind of reverse encounter. How are you going to prepare, or what's your strategy going to be? Maybe some Avalon tonight?
I might do that, the nice thing is that we don't have to prepare before the games. We don't get the position before 10 minutes before the round, so we don't have to prepare any chess.
But Fabiano, congratulations today, and thanks for joining us. Best of luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, David, you mentioned those heart rate monitors. That's another really cool thing from Freestyle Chess. They're innovating a lot, and he's talking about how nervous he is. I mean, how do you judge this? The fact that Gukesh is just super low on the heart rate and Fabi is going up and down. Whose advantage is that?
Yeah, it's hard to say, Kaya. I mean, we've seen Magnus play it in the past with heart rate monitors on, and his heart rate is so stable, whether the position is boring, whether the position is super scary, super stressful, kind of exciting, double-edged. His heart rate is nearly always the same. And I think in sports, it's usually good to have a relatively stable heart rate, no matter what your baseline is. I think it makes sure that you can kind of stabilize, you don't get thrown off, that surprises don't scare you, that you can kind of react higher heart rate. Maybe you burn more calories. Maybe that's the good thing. But it also means that I guess kind of these ups and downs that naturally happen in any sport, that happen in chess, they can throw you off. A bit of info that you might not have seen in the camera on that interview with Fabi. When he came in to talk to me, he was literally shaking. Maybe it was cold here in Bison House, but he was literally shaking, and he said like, "Oh, I'm calming down. The adrenaline's pumping. I can barely sit still." So even the top players in the world, in any sports, I think, it can get to them, these occasions.
Wow, I love that insight, David. And for those who think that chess isn't a sport and even a physical sport, like watching those heart rates actually prove us that it is. And I think you told me before, like for a long game of chess, like how many calories can you actually burn?
It's a lot. I think there are studies out there, so I don't want to kind of be misquoted necessarily, but I do know it's not just in the hundreds. It can go up to 4 figures, the amount of calories you can burn during a long chess game. I once played an opponent. We both had heart rate monitors on. Mine stayed stable the whole time. I barely burnt any calories, apparently, which was frustrating. But my opponent, maybe because he was drinking a lot of coffee, his heart rate was going up and down and around. And they said he burnt 1,500 in that one game alone. So I don't know what the average is, but chess, it's got to be a sport, right, Kaya?
Yeah, 100%.
Have good health effects.
Incredible. Oh, cool insight, David. And another thing I want to ask you about this. So we've been talking about Gukesh, who just seems to be staying for himself, is not interacting that much with the other players. Fabi, on the other hand, I do hear rumors that you guys are playing a lot of Avalon at night at Bison House. Is that correct?
I can confirm that is correct. And in Avalon, you have to lie a bit. So I'm not sure how seriously you guys should be taking me, but it is a deception-based game. Fabiano is very good. I managed to trick him yesterday as well. I managed to convince him that I was his friend, his teammate, but actually I was on the other side. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's just a nice way to kind of de-stress, essentially, after a long game, a long day of chess.
How cool. How cool. I love to hear that you guys are enjoying yourselves down there. We have one more quarterfinal matchup to talk about. It's Alireza Firouzja who won the round robin rapid portion. He chose Vincent Keymer, the German, as his opponent in the quarterfinals. And I guess then a big surprise, Vincent Keymer won that first game.
Yeah, and he is the home favorite. He has the crowd behind him here in Germany. Vincent Keymer, he's a very strong grandmaster, of course, had some great results, but maybe not quite at the same kind of elite status as some of the other players in the field. So I do understand why Firouzja picked him. Firouzja with the first kind of choice, the first vote there. But yeah, this is the one encounter, the one quarterfinal where it's kind of two youthful players, two youngsters and Vincent coming out on top. He just stayed calm. He always had more time on the clock. He didn't even do too much for most of it. He just let Firouzja try to be creative and ultimately self-destruct. But yeah, very impressive. The other encounters, the other quarterfinals, it was youth versus experience. And in this one, it was just the calmer player, I would say, Vincent Keymer, who emerged victorious. Firouzja just not at his best. I don't know what happened today. I must admit, Kaya, it just felt like something was off. It felt like he just woke up on the wrong side of bed, but everything that could have gone wrong on the board did go wrong for Alireza.
And that means Alireza, he needs to make a comeback tomorrow. He needs to win game 2 to take that quarterfinal matchup to tiebreaks. And so it is best of 2 games. Tomorrow, colors are reversed. We have a completely new starting position, and one player will make it through to semifinals from each of those matchups. Magnus Carlsen will face the winner of Alireza Firouzja against Keymer, and Hikaru Nakamura Sindarov, the winner of that one, will face either Fabiano Caruana or Gukesh. So predictions for tomorrow, David. Will we see comebacks? Which 4 players do you think will make it through to semifinals?
Oh, tough question, Kaya. Although I admired Sindarov's choice of picking Nakamura, I was gutted yesterday that he destroyed my profit prediction. Those quarterfinal matchups.
Yeah.
I'm not the best at predictions, but I will say Magnus, he just looks so good today. It felt like Abdusattorov was playing too quickly, too nervously. So I think Magnus is a big favorite to get the draw or maybe even the win that he requires to go through to the semis. I'll say Magnus. I want to know your predictions after this, but
I mean, I'm horrible at this. I feel I always make the wrong predictions, and I always base them on like the mood they're showing, or if I see like I look for small signs like, ooh, Alireza was wearing his cool shades today. He must be feeling confident. He's definitely going to win. You know, I base my prediction nothing on chess and only on appearance, I guess. So don't listen to me. Listen to David Howell instead.
But I should mention freestyle chess. It is about mood, right? It's not about the technical chess preparation. It's not necessarily about who understands the game better. It's who is fresher, sharper, feeling better form. The other quarterfinals, I'm going to say that Alireza is going to strike back and force a tiebreak. I think Alireza might still come through. He just had one bad day. It feels like a really bad day today. But if he's anywhere near his best, he's still capable. I think Hikaru will win, maybe in tiebreaks as well. And okay, in the other one,
Fabi in the lead. Will Gukesh make a comeback?
I would love to see Gukesh make a comeback. I would love to see tie breaks, more chess from them, but I just have a feeling Fabiano, he's so relaxed. I'm reading it like you are, Kaya. He's so relaxed. He's just in great form. He's here with his second very strong Spanish Grandmaster, Miguel. And I think Fabiano's going to make it.
Okay. All right, that was the predictions from David Howell. Day 2 of quarterfinals is coming up tomorrow. David, enjoy your evening, dinner, spa, Avalon. I don't know what you guys are up to, but have fun.
Thank you. I will. The players are actually a bit of behind the scenes here. They're having a round table right now. It's a bit like King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, but they're having a chat about life, chess, the future. It's no cameras, no press, no audience allowed, so they're busy. I'm going to go do my own thing, but thank you, Kai. I hope you have a good evening too. Everyone at home as well.
Wow. Oh, well, David, I really want to dig into that. What? They're having a round table? All the players? Is this like about the FIDE versus freestyle? You know, like people talking about, will there be a new governing body for chess? Do you know anything about what they're talking about?
No comment. I do know it is public knowledge that they are meeting to have a roundtable. Jan-Henrik Butner at the opening ceremony, which was televised, he did kind of announce that. So it's known the players are gathering. I don't know if it's about a union or whether it's about FIDE. I don't know any specific details. I think they don't know either. They're literally going to freestyle this meeting. But either way, it's a good sign for chess, I think. It's been a while since you kind of you've seen the top players in the world all on the same page, all united in their kind of vision for the future, and for chess it can only be a good thing. So the fallout, I think we just await to see, but I'm excited to find out what goes on.
Yeah. My final question about that, David, will be, because I've been working as a sports journalist for other sports, and it's very common in all sports to have a union for the players where they can sit together, talk together, have someone to always represent them up against the bigger league or whatever it is. But for chess, I've never heard of anything like that in chess. Players are just by themselves all the time. And for you, who's also been a top player for many, many years, this must be something that's needed, right? A union for you guys to talk together, to support each other.
Yeah, it is exciting, just the idea of it, Kaya. I think when there was this breakaway from FIDE back in 1993, Kasparov was trying to lead this kind of union, essentially, of players, but there was still this divide. A lot of the players stayed loyal to FIDE. There was still this FIDE circuit, these FIDE cycles. Later in my career, just I think it was in the mid-2010s, the PCA, the Players Chess Association as well, they tried to build something. Actually, later on, Emil Statovsky was president of a union before joining FIDE. So there have been attempts, but it's never really lasted the test of time. And I would love to see the players unite and kind of make things more professional, if anything, and to kind of show that tournament organizers that we are united, that we do have worth, we know our worth. And I'm hoping it's the first step in the right direction.
How cool to hear. David, again, thank you so much for all the insight you're bringing us from Weissenhaus. Enjoy your evening.
I will. You too. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Yeah. David Howell, he's at Weissenhaus with all the top players and everything happening at Freestyle Chess Grand Slam event number 1. Quarterfinals day 2 is coming up tomorrow. Remember to download the Take app to get notified when the game starts and to follow all the action, the bar jumping up and down. Eventually, 4 players will make it through to semifinals. We'll see you again tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching.